Palate to Palate with Robert St. John and Wyatt Waters is made possible by a generous contribution from Sanderson Farms. Additional funding is provided by this and other public television stations and from viewers like you. Thank you.
One of my greatest fears always is going through the toll booths. You know, we're over there and everything is on one card. That is the card that has all the money in it. It's from America. I have one card. One of my greatest fears has always been I put the card in the toll booth and it doesn't come back out. We've been over there dozens of times. It's never happened. Gone through the toll booth hundreds of times. It's never happened. On this day it happened.
Oh my God.
I put the card in. The card did not come back out. People are coming in Florence, one of the busiest toll booths, and I had cars backed up behind me. People were honking. People were getting out of the car thinking, what's this idiot American doing? He doesn't know how to use the toll booth. I said, no, I know how to use it. My card is in there. And they came and opened the machine, and I thought, well, my card's going to be shredded. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how we're going to pay for anything on this trip. But he got the card out, and it was still intact. My greatest nightmare actually happened.
For whom it tolls for you.
Oh, that was bad. If you want two Americans who love Italy, we're your guys.
You know, I really fell in love with Italy before I even went there, just through the paintings I studied.
Neither one of us are Italian experts. We mangle the language almost in every sentence, but we love this place. Turning people on to the food, to the culture, to the art, and just the entire experience.
It's a great place.
We're still learning about Italy.
It's great to watch people experience this.
We went over there and we fell in love with it. And we love sharing it with other people. So what you have is you have 25 Americans coming from different cities all over the country into one place. They're all flying on different flights, coming into different cities. Some come to Rome early, some go to Venice early, some stay in Florence. Everybody has to be at the airport by noon on a certain day. Just come to arrivals and we're good to go. It's a little bit of a logistical nightmare. Robert St. John. So far we've been lucky. Every once in a while somebody gets rerouted because of winds and they're in Pisa, and so we have to send a van to Pisa. This group got dropped off in Bologna, so we got to get somebody here. We've got a group of us over here. We got 4 already here, so we're not waiting on a flight. From this point on, it's much less stressful. Right now, it's just, you know, you're responsible for these people getting to where they need to be. From here on out, smooth sailing. We're all at the villa. We all leave together. We're all at the restaurant. We all leave together. Everybody's going to behave. Everybody's going to be there when they're supposed to be. Eventually, we get everybody to that airport all at once, and the trip begins. There's that feeling you get once everybody's there that you kind of... It's the most stressful part of the whole trip, is just trying to make sure, because you have people who have never gone to Europe before, they've never been to Italy, they don't speak the language, they're not sure if their cell phone's going to work, and if they got rerouted, they don't know how to contact somebody, and it gets a little crazy.
90% of life is showing up.
Yeah. That initial, like, 2-hour period, there's a window there where everybody gets to work. You go to work. My wife, you know, Jill, she's helping direct traffic and try to get people here and there. Your girlfriend Christy is helping, and it's just everybody just trying to come together to that one place. And then we get on the bus and we get in the vans and we head to really one of the most refined meals we have in the whole trip. It's really one of my favorite meals. That Pietracupa is perfect.
It's a great way to start it.
It's a great way to start. Buongiorno. La Conda Pietracupa is a very refined country inn. They have a few rooms. It's run by 2 sisters in the kitchen, 2 brothers-in-law in the front of the house, and I love starting a trip there. It's very refined. We're kind of in that garden room. You got these great views, and the food is just perfect.
With all that refined presentation in this very great Italian meal that we had, I look in the back and I see, you know, you're thinking about home, and you think, gee, that looks like a catawba tree, but that can't be a catawba tree. I'm here in Italy. That's a catawba tree is where we, you know, get fishing worms.
That's right.
The countryest tree that you could find anywhere in Mississippi, and there it was in the heart of Italy.
Tuscany has country too.
You're right.
That's
you're right.
But their country has olives and grapes and other things. So we were a little bit of country come to town. Country come to Tuscany.
I agree with that.
First impressions are so important when it comes to dining and having that kind of experience. And that's why I always like to start there. When we bring friends over, I love to start there because it makes such a good first impression. They take great care of you.
Great room.
Yeah, and the food is at a different level than a lot of the places that we go to over there. A lot of it is very casual, very laid back, very simple. This has a certain refinement to it. It's a great first impression for the guests. It's really the first time people get to experience eating like I do, at least. It's multiple courses, and they kind of see what is in store for them. And I tell them, you're going to have to pace yourself over this journey. There are going to be multiple courses. Eat a little. You don't have to eat a lot, but if you really like something, eat a lot of that, and then skip the next time. People don't really do that. People just eat it all, and then they get full and miserable, and, you know, that's okay too.
So after that, we go back to the villa. I pull the paints out, and I get to do a painting.
I would say one of our favorite places on earth is the villa right there on the back with that view to the west. You know, when we were over there the original time, you know, I had my kids out there, and that's where they would do their homework.
Yeah.
You know, and with that kind of view. But that day you did a painting, and there was something about the sun's rays that was a little different that day.
Yeah, there were some clouds there, and we had what is sometimes referred to as Jesus rays. You know, when the light's coming through a hole in the cloud, creating this nice shaft of light, and it was just really cool. But it was also the fact that we had spent so much time in that place doing that very thing, watching the sunset. That's part of the ritual of our Italian experience.
Yeah, that's the thing. When we went over originally and stayed in that villa the first time, and we were working hard trying to put that book together, every day at the end of the day, we could kind of come to that spot and just sit and talk about the day, talk about what was going to come up the next day and what we needed to do, and just watch the sunset over the mountains right there at the Tuscan countryside. So it's a perfect place to end the day.
I don't know what that was. It was good.
What I love, Apollo always takes good care of us. And there's kind of a town hall performing arts center, and it's just a meeting place. Sometimes they stage plays, sometimes they have town meetings there, and it's just a big cavernous room, but Paulo always takes care of it. He sets up a huge table.
This is the real Italian food.
Yeah.
Yeah?
His mama cooks all of this great food for us, and they bring it up the stairs.
Persone ricche, persone povere, bianchi e neri.
Everybody's welcome here. People from all over the world, as much as people from here, from the community.
Marina, our friend and tour guide, joins us for that meal before we head out.
People of all ages, people of all religions and colors, everybody is welcome at Paolo's.
Great. Well, we're glad to be here. Thank you, Paolo.
First time we went, we were driving to go look for San Gimignano, and we had a great trip over there. We get out and I work on a painting and you do some food researching, and we're by ourselves. And we get ready to go and you go into the hotel and we said, oh wow, we really just love San Gimignano. And they said, this is not San Gimignano. We spent the whole day there thinking it was San Gimignano. But we had a good experience. We eventually found San Gimignano.
We did. It's easier to find once you've been there because it has the towers. The thing about us over there is we love Italy, we love Tuscany, and we love traveling around. We love sharing what we've learned and seen from other people. But we're not the guys to be the tour guide. We're really not. But Marina, the tour guides over there, they go through a lot. They spend 1 year studying. Before they get certified, they have to go up in front of a panel with an audience in the background. It's almost like defending your thesis or something. And they just drill questions as obscure as in the Uffizi Museum in the second floor, third gallery, what's the first painting on the left? And who's the artist? I mean, it's those kind of questions that you have to answer. And we're lucky to have made such good friends over there who are great guides.
San Gimignano is famous for its towers. From Tavernello, where we had lunch, you can see San Gimignano. It looks like a Manhattan in the hills.
Well, I've done a lot of those tours over and over and over and over and over, and I still learn stuff every time.
Oh, I do too, yeah.
But this is the alley of the bad neighbor. If you see a little gap like this between two houses, it means that this used to be a tower and this used to be a family tower. But the family that lived here was not friends with this family. And when either of the families decided to build a tower as well, the neighbor said, that's fine, but you cannot lean on mine. So this is the bad neighbor that you cannot rely on.
You know, from our villa, you can see San Gimignano and the remaining towers, you know, which is it's an old medieval town. It's been around since the 1100s or whatever. At its height, there were 72 towers in that town, and people were kind of competing against each other, building towers, and there are a few remaining. We go up in some of them, but it's a great example of a preserved medieval town in Tuscany. The streets are tight. It's a very authentic thing. Marina knows a lot about it, and it's great to go over. It's still walled city.
It's a beautiful place, yeah. There are 13 or 14 towers left from that period, and they went through the plague and bad times, and really it remained the way it was because they just didn't have any money to improve it. So thank God that it still remains as ancient as it was back in its day.
So thank God for the plague, right? Mm-hmm. It's nice when things don't get modernized sometimes. The town and the structure and the architecture is extremely authentic.
Yes.
You get to the square, which you painted several times, and there are two gelato shops. One is best gelato in the world, and one is best gelato on the planet. And they battle each other. They're actually both pretty good. They're good.
Yeah. Since it is a touristy place, and a lot of people don't realize you got to pay for toilet use, and so someone who will remain nameless found themselves without the proper tokens and had to jump the turnstile. When you gotta go, you gotta go.
You know, those ancient walls in that city have vines growing on them, and the cool thing about those vines is capers are growing on those vines. Just the little berries right there, and you can pick and pickle them and go to town just right there. Beautiful, good-sized capers, too.
And it grows like this. Amazing.
Speaking of capers, I had a little caper myself while I was there. Something happened. I was working on a painting, and like you said, the streets are very narrow, and the corners are very tight, and I was up against a corner, up against a wall, working on a painting like I always do, except this time a car comes in and I almost get scraped into the side of the wall there. I collapse my easel instead of collapsing myself.
Now, if I can just not ruin the painting, I'll be happy.
Lean up against the wall and I don't get hit, but it's not because the driver was careful. It's because someone said, watch out, and I watched out.
We almost lost Wyatt in San Gimignano. You can tell the attitude of the locals is, you know, I've seen enough of these tourists sometimes, and that was certainly the attitude of the guy driving that little car that almost killed you.
Yeah, it was potentially dangerous.
Little excitement, you know, you can't get that in the studio.
All these cities became independent. They were too far away from the German emperor. They were too far away from the Pope in Rome to have control. So it was decided that they would be responsible for their own defense, for their own order within the city walls, and for their own coins if they wanted to.
And there's a painting everywhere you turn there. I was looking down just a regular alley, and there was this beautiful arch and these pigeons that were flying up there, and that turned into a painting.
There is. That's much softer than what was actually there. And my cheese is mixed in with my eraser here, so I got a little problem. So what I'm going to have to do is rub it on me right here and get some of that oil off the cheese. Cheese is good.
You had cheese in your pocket. What?
I had cheese. I love that cheese. I wonder if that cheese go away. We couldn't eat it all, could we? It's not an eraser, but it's good.
San Gimignano was hit very badly by bombings during the Second World War. The Allied thought there were still Germans hidden here, and at one point the people had to really run out. Oh, stop now, stop now.
The thing about Wyatt painting in Europe, you know, a crowd always gathers. This day, Wyatt was painting, and some people came up, and, you know, he always likes to try to communicate, because sometimes everybody's not speaking English, and, you know, he had a couple come up, and he said,
American, English.
They said, yes, we know, and what he didn't know, that the cameraman let him know that those people had ridden on the bus to San Gimignano with him. They were a part of our group.
It was one of those things where you get so focused on this that you don't see any of this.
Yeah, that's his excuse.
Finito.
Well, the painting that I was working on, that was actually, that was part of what was used for an interview in a Plein Air magazine later. It was really pretty significant painting for me.
And you made the cover of Plein Air.
That was not a bad move either, and that was also Italian painting. And another painting I was working on, Well Wishers. That's pretty much the epicenter of all things San Gimignano, which is the center square there.
The square of the cistern, the Piazza della Cisterna. On the square you see the girls eating their ice cream. The cistern was put there in the 13th century, enlarged in the 14th century, so that means there's no well, but there's a cistern that collects the rainwater.
And in the background, there are these beautiful tall towers that are probably the best representation of the San Gimignano Tower.
Being set on a hilltop, you're safe from the enemy, you're safe from the illnesses of the valley, because there was a lot of malaria going on in the valleys. And being on a hilltop, you would be safe from that, but it was very difficult to get water. And if you had to get the water from wells outside the city, you were always very vulnerable for the enemy that could put a dead cow or something in your water well. So if you had a cistern right in the center of your square, you could provide the people with water. You were protected. This square is beautiful, and you see that all the houses here are leftovers from the tower houses. Before we go to the cathedral, I'd like to take you to the Piazza delle Erbe, the square of the herbs, because from there you have a fantastic view. San Gimignano is on the big pilgrim route that leads from Canterbury in England all the way to Rome. And that's one of the reasons why San Gimignano was so rich in the Middle Ages. It was rich in the Middle Ages until 1348. That's when the plague hit San Gimignano. And after that, people just walked around San Gimignano and they avoided it like the plague. The church was built in the 10th century, rebuilt, enlarged in the 13th century. The facade is typical 13th century. And it's one of the biggest and most important fresco stories. It's the stories of the New Testament on one side and stories of the Old Testament on the other side. So this is all painted in the 1330s, painted in fresco, so in the wet stucco in the wall with pigments. The pigments are painted mixed with water, painted in the wet stucco in the wall, and during the drying of the stucco, the water penetrates in the stucco. It makes that the pigments dry up in the wall. They become part of the wall. That's what the fresco painting is all about. Ghirlandaio is famous for his depiction of the scenes in his own time. These details are fantastic.
You know, it's always a good day, and the thing about it, San Gimignano is so close to, I mean, you can see it from our villa. And so, I mean, how often do you get to visit a medieval village with so much history and so many stories to tell? The cool part about that is we finished the day off at a Michelin starred restaurant. It's a very fine meal. Castello de Nero is in a huge villa that a very rich Florentine family used as kind of their country home. And it's a very fine hotel. It's got a great spa, but it's got a Michelin starred restaurant in there. And it's, you know what, a few blocks from our villa. Most of the meals when we're in Italy, you know, we like to go to the real places, you know, where the true Italians are going, you know, pretty casual. Most all of them are casual, simple, just real food with local wine and real bread and the whole thing. But we like to take it up a notch too. And Castello de Nero is a great place. Of course, I love beef tartare. Not everybody likes beef tartare. Sometimes people are a little, but here's the thing. You gotta learn. You gotta learn to try all of that. And it's not a place where you wanna go over and order a soft drink with a lot of ice. You wanna assimilate into that society. And eat what they eat, appreciate what they have to offer. And it's just a very nice, refined experience.
My steak tartare was just a little undone.
I'm just picking at my food here. I'm playing.
The beauty and simplicity of kind of the place we pitch our tent in that part of Tuscany is that you can drive 5 minutes or you can drive 30 minutes, and there is so much history in that area, so much available to you just right there. It's beautiful. What I really love is sharing that with other people. I love turning people on to these things that we've discovered, the people we've met, the places we've gone to, and when you can share that with somebody else, it just takes the experience up to another level, and there's so much left to do.
Many of the paintings seen on today's program, plus many others, are featured in the An Italian Palate cookbook. This beautiful volume also includes authentic Italian recipes. An Italian Palate cookbook. Palate to Palate with Robert St. John and Wyatt Waters is made possible by a generous contribution from Sanderson Farms. Additional funding is provided by this and other public television stations and from viewers like you. Thank you.